Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate. Sponsored by Light Orlando, delivering hope together.
So glad to have you back for another edition of Florida's Fourth Estate. And I have to tell you, one thing that drives me crazy about the news business, the business in which Ginger I reside. There's a lot. One thing that drives me nuts is when we tell you a story, we have a great character, it's a fascinating thing, and then we never follow up on it. Everybody just forgets. Yeah. And we had this fascinating character on who is a Florida scientist, works over at USF, and he was doing some crazy stuff, submerging himself in the ocean, Ginger, putting pressure on his own body for 100 days. And I want to know what the hell happened, right?
Well, you know, you say we forget to do follow-ups, but this is a guy who is unforgettable. So unforgettable. This is actually our third time chatting with him, and I'm so happy that Dr. Joseph Dituri is a friend of Florida's Fourth Estate. Hey, good to see you.
Guys,
Thanks for joining us again.
You. And character, I have been called a lot worse, so character's okay.
It was the nicest thing I could think of, Doc. No.
Oh my goodness. Whatever. You're changing the world, Doc. Matt's not doing that at all.
That's the truth.
First of all, welcome back to Florida's Fourth Estate. We probably will have you on more than just 3 times. We would have you on daily if we could. You set the record for living underwater over the summer. You emerged triumphant June 9th. And a lot has happened since then because you were hoping to discover what kind of effects pressure would have on the body, the benefits, the downside. And there were both, right?
Right. There were some great things that came from it. For instance, let's start with the bad, right? Because you always go with the bad first.
Yeah.
I shrank by 3/4 of an inch. I had some significant problems. I cracked a tooth while I was down there. So since that time, I've actually had the root canal, because you have to have a root canal when you crack a tooth. And I lived and suffered in pain for a little bit, but it's okay, right? What I found when I came out, the good stuff, I had a 50% reduction in every single inflammatory marker in my body. Now, this points to things like long COVID, right? Because long COVID winds up being something that is a systemic inflammatory response in your body, right? You have all these issues that come up and your body says, I can't take it anymore. So all that inflammation starts to rise. Things like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, it's an inflammatory disease, right? So what we're doing here is we're doing research to try and figure out what the mechanism of actions are for hyperbaric medicine, the ones that are peer-reviewed and published, right? And then trying to apply them to different things, right? Like Crohn's, like COVID, long hauler, like traumatic brain injury and PTSD. And this is the kind of stuff that we want the world to understand. You have an alternative that's not a drug that can be used and does help or could help.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting to me as I get older and I'm more focused on my health and my body. I read and hear all about these things that we all consume in our American diet that causes inflammation. It feels like us as a society. Well, let me ask you, as a guy who knows, are we more inflamed today than we were, say, 50, 70 years ago, or are we just hearing about it more?
100%. No, there's gluten in everything, right? So unfortunately, you get inflammation from what you eat. And look, we've become a little lethargic as a society. So, like you guys that spell gym with a G instead of a J, right? You don't have a problem, right? But there are people that kind of get on that American train, right? And they say, okay, I'm just going to eat the bonbons or the processed food or the easy things here. And, I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to do anything. Those are the type of people that are going to suffer. So, systemic inflammatory response is one of the big problems with our society today.
I feel like I saw a split in that bicep. Ginger, did you see a split in the bicep? Is that two biceps in there?
He wasn't even trying to.
Because that's not
that. It just happened. I love the fact that he's sitting there at his desk, and this is a man who walks the walk, right? Not just talk the talk. He's got collagen bone broth sitting on his desk.
Wait a second. How are you? Oh, she caught you.
Cold busted.
I know how good that is for you. So I know you're doing all the right things.
Yeah, no, that's lunch. Sorry.
Wait, hold on. Are you drinking bone broth for lunch? We got to dive into this now. Why are you doing this?
It's
It's
high
good
in
for you.
protein. It's high in protein. It's a great source of protein that's in liquid form, right? So like if you're doing a fast, right? So like you break your fast like this, everybody thinks it's coffee. It's literally water, right? So I drink a lot of water every day, a gallon of water every day. And I fast until probably about 3 or 4. And bone broth is one of the things that gets me through. So I'll have bone broth and I'll have the protein from that, but yet I'm just drinking it. So I'm on a liquid diet fast. So it's pretty good for you.
I have a secret, and Matt doesn't know this, but he has consumed bone broth without knowing it. I make an award-winning chili, and I use bone broth in my chili.
Love it.
Hey, I've got a secret to tell you. I love that stuff, man. I love bone. I know bone broth is good for you, but to see one of my favorite doctors drinking it for lunch, that makes me think. How much protein is in that? Because I thought it was mostly to keep you hydrated.
Right?
Yeah, I want to say protein, dietary fibers, sugars, protein 6 grams and 8 grams.
Okay.
8 grams. Sorry, I had to have my glasses on.
We're totally off the rails on this podcast, but I'm interested. That was a good find, Ginger.
But I have an eye for things like that. Okay, so you talked about some of the good stuff that you found when you were down there. Talk a little bit about maybe the negative side. One thing that happened to you was you got a little shorter. You're a tall guy, but you emerged. Was it a ½ inch shorter?
3/4 of an inch shorter. Yeah.
Okay.
And measured it like 3 times because nobody believed me. And I was like, listen, I used to hit the top of this habitat and now I don't. So something has changed. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to check. Sure enough, they checked. And, we're like, holy mackerel, you shrank almost a full inch. Holy mackerel, right? So I've been hanging upside down on my teeter upside down thing, right? But think about it. Astronauts are in tension, so they expand. Every astronaut gets about an inch or an inch and a half taller while they're flying in space because there isn't that compression. Now, at normal baric or normal pressure, you're at this much pressure and you're not getting squished. Well, now when you go underwater, you increase the pressure. In my case, I almost doubled it, so I squished even more. Longer period of time, and I just got 3/4 of an inch shorter. Hey, what are you going to do? But when you're 6'1", you can lose 3/4 of an inch and be like,
no, that's not true because I'm 6'2", and if I lost 3/4 of an inch, I would be pissed. So you had to be a little panicked to go from 6'1" to 6 feet. I mean, that's a significant thing. You were wanting to get it back. Come on, be honest with me, Doc.
Yeah, look, it's like hair, right? I did not know I had hair. For the longest time, I would shave my head. When I was deployed, it was just easier. I just get rid of it. And then I started growing my hair, and everybody's like, wow, you have great hair. I didn't even know I had hair. I would shave it bald, and it was never a problem. So when you don't have it and you don't care, it's like, whatever, I got what I got, and these are the cards that I was dealt. Some are good, some are bad, right?
Yeah, that's true. Once it starts to fall out, which I feel like I'm getting there, you treasure it a lot more than than you ever knew. That's for sure. So what is this? I'm sorry. We got to get back on to you being in pressure situation. I just enjoy talking to you, and we get a lot of wisdom from you, even outside of your expertise. So what can we take from this? So you said 50% increase in decrease. I'm sorry, 50% decrease in the markers for inflammation. Stem cell. This had an effect on stem cell growth, or did it not? What was the?
Oh, yeah, I have like 17 times, or I had 17 times the number of stem cells that I would normally have. So basically, stem cell proliferation, reduction in pain, reduction in inflammation, toxin inhibition. There are all kinds of mechanism of action for this natural sort of a drug that we're just applying. Now, look, this is not a new science. Everybody's like, oh, that new thing, hyperbarics, been around since 1640, right? This is not like a new thing. We've been using it for a lot of things for a lot of years. The Spanish influenza, the flu of 1918, treated in a hyperbaric chamber. I mean, come on, this has been around. So why wouldn't we treat post-COVID? Why wouldn't we treat right now? Is it always going to work? Do we need to do science? Yes. Science wins over BS every time. So we need to do science, right? But we should start applying the mechanism of action across the board. We were talking earlier, Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, right? It's a disease of inflammation. Well, one of the mechanism of action of hyperbaric medicine is an anti-inflammatory. I wonder if it'll work, right? This is the kind of stuff that we need to do studies on, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, I mean, I feel like people would give up an inch easily if you tell me that I got 17% more stem cells and that my inflammatory markers all went down. What else do you think could come of this? Or do you plan on doing more research? Would you go back down? What's the next thing you're planning?
Oh, I would go back down in a skinny minute. Well, I just got off my zero gravity ride. So I did zero G. Remember all the science we were doing underwater? Same thing in zero gravity. We did the muscle, trying to make sure that we were maintaining muscle mass up there. But one of the really cool things that came out of it, my extrinsic age, right? So all these different calculations. Before I went in, because I spelled Jim with a G and not with a J, my extrinsic age was 44. Now I'm 56 now. All right.
Jeez.
My extrinsic age was 44. When I got out of the water, my extrinsic age was 34. Wow. So my telomeres lengthened. I actually got younger when I was underwater. And that's a known mechanism of action of hyperbaric medicine. And you don't have to go underwater to get that. You can just go to a hyperbaric center and get that. There are many, many papers that have come out that see cognitive enhancement in a declining age population, right? So we are trying to improve that cognitive ability in somebody's brain by going in the hyperbaric chamber. And yes, I had the same sort of results when I was underwater for a long period of time. Same thing with the telomere lengthening. We know that it is a reversal, or it makes those telomeres longer, anywhere from 30 to 36%, depending on whose paper you read. But that's a known mechanism of action. So it's like, well, this stuff happens.
But here's my question. Your case is extreme. You were there for 100 days, 24 hours a day. So if I went to a hyperbaric chamber and I sat in there for 30 minutes, God only knows what that would cost and how we would make that happen. But is it possible that people could even see results on that level in a chamber? Can you up the pressure? How does that math work?
Most of the research is done in 1 hour increments over the course of several days. Now, in this case, the Shea Afradi study did about 60 treatments to the tune of 1 hour apiece every day, Monday through Friday, taking Saturday and Sunday off, 60 treatments, and they increased that telomere length by 30%. Steve Thom did 1 hour and a half treatments and got 20 times the number of circulating stem cells. So these are known, like scientists have been doing this kind of stuff, and you can do it in a hyperbaric chamber. And what should it cost? Realistically, I'm probably going to dime everybody out, but it shouldn't be more than $250 a treatment, $250 an hour for an hour worth of treatment. So that times however many you do. Post-COVID, we've been seeing great results on long haul COVID, only 10 treatments. So $2,500 and somebody's seeing some great recovery. We're seeing people that are stymied, and I mean absolutely stymied by their long haul COVID. And we're like, look, it's not done. The science isn't over on it. It's not a dead doornail, right? But we're working on it. We're trying to get something going.
So is it 250 or 2,500? Which one is it? I think
250 times 10 treatments would be 2,500.
Gotcha.
Right? $250 per each treatment. Usually that's what it ought to be. I mean, some people charge, look, hospitals charge like $1,000 a treatment, but that's insurance. And I don't play with that game.
Sure.
Okay. So what do you say to the people? Are you invested in any hyperbaric chamber company? Do you have stocks? Do you own one?
No. As a matter of fact, I own a hyperbaric training center. So people come here and they do training with me to go open up their hyperbaric center. I don't represent chamber companies. Nobody pays me to say these words. And you can find all of these in science by reading the literature yourself. Right. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to be an informed consumer so that when you go to the hyperbaric center, you can say, oh, you're charging me $350. Well, doc said that it shouldn't be more than $250. Oh, okay, darn it. Yeah, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get it so that the information's out there and it's naturopathic and it's not addictive and it's not, this is not something that, oh boy, this is going to make you're going to be addicted to narcotics after this. No, you're not. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, you've said a few words that I didn't really understand, and I kind of nodded along. But I'm thinking if somebody at home is listening to this, they probably want to know. So, what was the thing you're saying? These things are growing by 30%, and in your case,
telomeres.
what telomeres?
On the end of your chromosome, right? So on the ends of your chromosome, you have these little extensions, and every time you replicate this chromosome, you make a new cell, which you replace your body every 7 years, give or take. You have all new cells, right? So every time you replicate this, that telomere shrinks. You get, let's just say you get 1,000 replications, right? That's all you get. When the telomeres are gone, you have no more ability to replicate. That's called cell death. Right? That's cellular senescence. You can no longer make that cell. So that is truly the world-class definition of aging, right? But if you can make that telomere longer, you can actually extend life.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And is this a
muscle?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Is that something that lasts? Like 9 months out, are your telomeres still longer, or has that
still longer
faded
and shortened? Having used a couple of them, but yes, having used several of them at this point. But yes, so there's an initial flux. There's a hill, right, and then it starts to come down a little bit, but then it plateaus. And the bottom line is you feel better. I have people that just come back because they go, I feel better when I do this. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. I don't know how to quantify that scientifically. I feel better is, it's very observational, right? It's very subjective. But what I look for is the objective quality measures. And when you can measure the telomere and the telomere gets longer and stays longer, and the cognitive enhancement gets better and stays better, I mean, this is pretty straightforward.
Now we're measuring stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, science wins over BS, right?
All the time. If you are willing to believe it. And, some people just don't want to believe science, even if it's staring them right in the face.
Yeah.
Well, I find this all very fascinating, Doc. And I'm glad you got your 3/4 of an inch back. That is for sure. And but I do feel like how do we leave this? Say you're a normal person, you don't necessarily have one of these syndromes in which you have chronic inflammation, but maybe you just feel foggy and lethargic, right, and like you are inflamed. Is there anything you can do? Can you go to a place and sit in a hyperbaric chamber? Can you just pay for that? Do you need a prescription? What's the story?
You do. You need a prescription. Unfortunately, the USP classifies oxygen as a drug. Why? I don't really know.
We're all hooked on it.
Are producing it, and they're selling it out on the street. So. But, unfortunately, that's the way it is. But it's okay. There are physicians that are out there that can prescribe. As you know, I'm not a physician, but there are physicians that I train that can go out there and prescribe hyperbaric medicine to people in the right amounts for things like lethargy, for things like brain fog, for things. Now, those are all off-label indications. But wait, let me go back a second. What is an off-label indication? Guys, what's Viagra used for?
Erectile dysfunction.
It's a cardiac drug.
Oh, that's
right. By the FDA is a cardiac drug. So the off-label use for it is erectile dysfunction. But the on-label use is the cardiac drug. So as a physician, you can prescribe anything you want off-label. Now, there's some science that's got to be involved in it. It's got to pass the sniff test, right? Is it going to cure your toenail fungus? No, hyperbaric oxygen is not going to cure your toenail fungus. We tried, and it just doesn't work, right? Is it going to cure everything? Is it going to cure AIDS? No. There's a whole bunch of things that it can't cure. But there's some good uses for it. And if you are one of those people that has lethargy, that has, brain fog, you can actually enhance your cognitive ability. And that has been shown in studies. So caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. And you can look into some of this stuff yourself. I hope you do, because this is a very naturopathic solution to a problem or many problems that plague us as we get older. So let's not get older, man.
Well, let's try. But you have like soccer stars like Cristiano Ronaldo. You have NBA star LeBron James, and even Justin Bieber, who they have said that they use hyperbaric chambers, and with the athletes, it's there's obviously something to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not quite a PED, performance enhancing drug. However, it's a performance enhancing drug. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this, the off-track betting people, the horse people, will not allow a horse in hyperbaric medicine within 24 hours of a race. Why? They consider it a performance enhancing drug for the horse. Wow. I mean, okay, you're right. Science wins over BS. We don't have any science on that yet, but the betting people, they know where it's at.
Yeah, you follow Vegas. That's a good indication. And we had that. I remember we had this story years ago in which a hyperbaric chamber for horses blew up and blew the side of somebody's house off. And after the initial, wow, that's a crazy explosion, we're all like, they're putting horses in hyperbaric chambers? That's a thing?
Right. And so the thing is, you're absolutely right. We have to, and that's why I decided to make a training center. We have to make sure that we're doing it the correct way. There are all kinds of rules and regulation, and most of these are written in blood, right? And in this case, unfortunately, it's horse blood. And people have been hurt, right? So it's not easy to do. No, you shouldn't do it at your home. No, you shouldn't do it in places that are not set up correctly. I'm not telling you to go out there and just go do it willy-nilly. You got to go out there and do it in a place that is done correctly, right? So, but that's what I try and teach these people when they come to my center and they learn hyperbaric medicine.
So we shouldn't turn our bathtubs into hyperbaric chambers.
How? You can't. What is wrong with you?
I'm sure there's a way. They make meth in bathtubs.
Oh, wow. Dr. Dituri, I am sorry you were part of this part of the conversation. Let's just get you out of here now. Well, unscathed.
Oh. No worries. Well, no worse for the wear.
Hey, we love talking to you, Doc, and I'm glad that you got some fascinating research out of your 100 days underwater. And man, very interesting stuff. I'm hoping maybe in the next 10 years, 15 years, we'll really have a lot more breadth of knowledge as more studies are done on these hyperbaric chambers. And I would imagine a lot of that is going to be thanks to you. So we appreciate you dropping some knowledge on us today.
What you do next, and let us know what you do next.
That's exactly it. Wait till you see what we do next. We just finished the zero gravity ride where we took those blood pressure cuffs to space, those blood flow restriction devices. So hopefully, from your lips to God's ears, we're going to go and fly them on the International Space Station. We shall see.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we've kept him from his bone broth lunch all of this time. We need to let him bathe in that stuff. All right, Doc.
Thank you so much.
It's okay.
Thank you, sir. Great having you.
Thanks, guys. Have a blessed day.
You too, man.
And thank you for watching Florida's Fourth Estate. You can download it from wherever you listen to podcasts or watch anytime on News 6 Plus.